Hey everybody, it's Aaron with Talking Geek, and today we are doing a review and ranking of Resident Evil. Hey, so we've been on a hiatus, everybody. We do thank you for your patience and everything with COVID, with, the pandemic, with new babies for Robert's family. It's just been real hectic and busy for everybody. And we took that hiatus off so that way we could kind of regroup and get back on our feet. And we're there. But today, since we are talking Resident Evil, it is just going to be me. And we're just going to do audio only for a little bit, guys. Any interviews, anything else we do will be on our YouTube page, so go check those out. But our podcast is just going to be a podcast, but you can find us anywhere, of course. So today we are talking Resident Evil. The Village has now come out, and oh my gosh, guys, this game is amazing. I was able to play it, beat it, and I probably will do a couple playthroughs because this one was fun. I really enjoyed it. I actually also went and watched some YouTubers play it as well to see if they got some of the same experiences. And there are some little Easter eggs, I would say, here and there that are really fun and you'll be able to pick up on. Now, I do have a problem with the series. I'm going to start with my problems and then I'll go into all the stuff I liked. My first problem is I've grown up on Resident Evil, the original, way back when on PlayStation, Nintendo 64 and GameCube, all that stuff. So I'm used to actual zombies. But ever since Resident Evil 4, we haven't really experienced the zombie stuff per se. It's been more these creatures, and this one it's that muricile. I cannot pronounce that word. If you watch this podcast ever, listen, you know I'm terrible with names and words. But essentially, now it's about this. In the last Biohazard and this one, we get exposed to this new biohazard weapon which kind of takes over. Now, that's my only drawback. But I do like that now we have lichens. Well, I think we've had those really before, but now, I don't know, I love lichens. I think lichens are really cool. And they are different than werewolves, where lichens are more monstrous, I guess you could say, where werewolves have that, they bounce from human to wolf kind of thing. These are more monstrous, and they still give that zombie-ish feel, I guess. And we return as Ethan, who was the main protagonist in Resident Evil Biohazard. And he's with his family now. He's happy ever after kind of ending at the beginning of this story. And then all hell breaks loose. Just to give you a brief rundown, as the demo is free, you can go check that out. And it's the first 30 minutes of the game. Chris Redfield comes out, basically puts a crap ton of bullets in Mia, which is his wife. They kidnap Rose and Ethan, and of course, in true Resident Evil style, an accident happens and they don't make it to the destination. And you come across a castle, this village, and it's beautiful to look at because it has that old-timey feel, and it feels like a real village. And I really liked that this happens in a huge village, essentially, because it spans across the castle, this other houses by like a waterfall, stuff like that. I don't want to give a whole lot more away. The demo is going to give you a good idea of the story. When you meet Lady Dimitru, when you meet Mother Miranda, couldn't think of her name, I'm sorry. It's been a long weekend. So you get the introduction of them and the other characters that I don't want to give away, but you see them and their abilities and powers. And so we come back to this, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. First of all, graphics are beautiful. The storyline is amazing. The gameplay is so much better. I think Biohazard and Village now have really capitalized on the game mechanics, and I think we've gotten away from the clunky days of Resident Evils 1 through 4. And now we're more into action-packed. These lichens are attacking you all the time. You face these I guess I will say more traditional zombie-ish kind of creatures later on when you fight certain bosses. The other thing I think that they did really well and I think is amazing is you don't have just one big boss fight, which Resident Evil's never been about the main one fight and, game over kind of thing. But it's broken it up into roughly 5 boss battles. You have to fight the 4 children, essentially, and then you have to fight Mother, essentially. So you go through all of this, and the gameplay, I would say, probably takes about 7 hours, maybe 8. And I'm sure if you rush through it, speedrunners will go through this in maybe half that time, because I like to look around and try to find all the little hidden gems and Easter eggs and bullets, because if you know Resident Evil from 4 to now, you need a lot of bullets to kill things. Heck, even in the original ones, you need a lot of bullets, unless you can get some really good headshots. So, the gameplay is amazing because you're first person, which I think that was where Resident Evil needed to go. We needed to go into that first person view. I love Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, or I should say remastered for both of them. And it's still the over-the-shoulder kind of third-person view. But I really, really love first-person shooters. I love third-person. I'm a big Gears of War fan. But first-person for these zombies and these jump scares, I think is the best part. I mean, there's a part where I was in a house, and you're just looking around, like grabbing items, and then you turn and we start walking towards the door. The lichen drops in the window, and he scares the crap out of you. And I remember he dropped it. I actually was like, oh, crap. And I was like, oh, that's a really good jump scare. And I don't think you could do that with the third-person angle anymore. I think it needs to be that first-person view as you're the eyes, and you turn around real quick, and you're like, oh, out the door, and then there's a lichen right here dropping next to you through the window. So I think that this was a breath of fresh air, between Biohazard, which is Resident Evil 7, and The Village, which is Resident Evil 8. These are a fresh take to the series. It's really cool that we still get Chris Redfield in it. He is still involved. And throughout the game, if you go to certain areas, you will see Chris's team is there and doing something. I don't want to give, again, too many spoilers. I'm not going to do that. If you want a spoiler review, leave something in the comments and we'll give a full detailed spoiler review of it. I'm just going to give my rating on it. I'm going to say this again. Graphics are amazing. Storyline is beautiful. The last, I would say probably 30 minutes, maybe hour, I wasn't expecting. I didn't see that coming, so I was happy to see that it went a route I wasn't anticipating. So the story is really good. Game mechanics are great. There is a couple little iffy parts sometimes, but I'll let it slide. Again, nothing's perfect is how I look at it. Graphics beautiful. Everything else is just, it's an amazing game. I will say it's one of the better Resident Evils that I've played and that I've seen, and I loved Biohazard. I thought Biohazard was really good, but I don't know. Sometimes I felt the story was a little weak. That's just me. In this one, it had a lot of, and for me, Easter eggs, I'll say, or a lot of like reminiscing of some of the old Resident Evils with Lady Dimitrescu. There was a couple parts where I was almost reminded of what's his name, Mr. X, and Resident Evil 2 chasing you. I kind of had that feel a little bit, and I did love the Duke, who is basically the merchant in this one that you're gonna go buy all your items from. And now, if you're a Resident Evil 4 fan, we had the mysterious stranger who was the merchant, and he would always come up to you, "What are you buying? What are you selling?" And you come and you buy the items from him, and he opens his trench coat and he's like, okay, well, this is what you're buying. The Duke rolls up in like this old school carriage looking thing, and he rolls out his big old fat man, and he kind of toys with you and he gives you information, and he's the one character I want to know more about because we don't get a lot about him. At one point, I can at least give this, it's not a spoiler. Ethan asks him, what are you, who are you? And he's like, that's an interesting question, I don't even know. And so it makes you wonder, like, is he somehow part of the village? Is he somebody else? Is he just really is some guy walking through kind of town and selling goods? I don't know. He doesn't care who he sells to, because he sells to the bad people, which is the children and Mother Miranda. He does sell to the village too, so the regular people. So if you go throughout the game and pick up the Easter eggs, you see that he is really helping everybody, but in reality, he's helping himself because he just wants to make a profit. There is a throw, if you pay attention to some of his dialogue, there is a throw to the merchant from Resident Evil 4. He talks about a friend that he has, and it is a straight throw to the merchant from Resident Evil 4. So they connected him for some reason to that character, whether it was just, again, maybe an Easter egg, or maybe it really is that he is somehow related, connected. Who knows? I don't know. But I don't know. I liked it. I like that they, like, again, these little Easter eggs. He helps Ethan out when he can. I will say this, though. I was not expecting what happens to the daughter at the beginning of the game to happen. And again, I'm not going to give spoilers away, but please play the game to see that part. So overall, I would actually give this one a good solid 9.5 out of 10. Definitely worth playing. Definitely going to make sure I do the DLC. Multiple playthroughs. I think this one will be fun to play through multiple times. I've watched some other players already beat the game and then do all some of the back stuff that I didn't know you could do. So now I'm going to go back and get some of those achievements. If you know a little about me, I do like to achievement hunt sometimes. Certain games I want to focus on and get all the achievements, and this one may or may not be one of those because I think some of the stuff's going to be really hard, but I think overall it's going to be a good one. So if you were just here for the review, bam, review done, go buy the game, play it, get the DLC, play it through 2-3 times. I think this one, if you enjoy the story, if you enjoy Resident Evil, you'll get at least 2 or 3 playthroughs out of it before you're hanging it up on the shelf until the DLC comes out. Now, for the ranking, I'm not going to rank anything beyond the main games. I'm not going to go Code Veronica, Dead Zone, the ones where you play the Umbrella people, which is, I forgot the name of those. I'm just going to stick from Resident Evil 0 through 8. And that's it. That's all I'm going to go with because I don't want to start doing a whole list. Okay, so my bottom ranking, because again, we're doing these 9 games, my bottom ranking is going to be Resident Evil 6. I didn't like it because the fact is it was so action-packed heavy. I felt that it was a misstep from what we got with the Resident Evil franchise up to this point. We have Chris Redfield as our main protagonist, and I also felt that they really redid his character. They kind of gave him like superhuman strength and all this, and I'm like, this wasn't Chris Redfield. He can't punch boulders and move them out of the way. So it was so far away from what the Resident Evil franchise was that I didn't like it enough. I mean, again, we had 4, we had 5 that were already getting away from it, but this one was just so far away from it that I was done. And let's face it, also by the time 6 has come out, I was a little bit tired of Wesker always being the villain somehow tied to everything. And on that same note, my next lowest, so number 8, would be Resident Evil 5. I was also still not happy with this. It wasn't like 4, where 4 we had a new introduction to like how they're doing the zombies, which went really well. I just feel 5 was another misstep. It was good, but again, it was still a misstep. We're following Chris Redfield again, and he doesn't sell it for me. Maybe it's the gameplay, maybe because 4 was revolutionary and 5 and 6 are just following the exact same formula as 4. We didn't change it. We didn't try to make it better. It's just here's basically horde mode in Resident Evil at times. So for that, Resident Evil 6 and 5 are 9 and 8. At number 7, I would say Resident Evil 0. And that's, even though I do really love the storyline with Rebecca and the prisoner guy, I can't remember his name. This came out on the GameCube, guys. And so at this point, Resident Evil's, has been around for years. We had all 3 Resident Evils, I think, remade at this point for GameCube, and GameCube wanted their own, essentially Resident Evil game finally. So 0 is made. It gives you more backstory on the STARS team that enters the mansion in Resident Evil 1. And in this case, it was just like, I don't know. I guess because it's so clunky still, it's still a Resident Evil game, which was fun and exciting, and we had mystery, then we find out about Wesker a little bit. But it's just one of those, like, why is it that this is a GameCube game with mechanics from almost at that point 2 generations ago of consoles? And we've had GoldenEye, we've had Conker's Bad Fur Day, we've had Perfect Dark, We've had, so many other amazing shooters, first-person shooters, third-person shooters by this point, that you're still using these really clunky game mechanics. So for that, it gets lowered so low just for the game mechanics alone. The story is fun. I had fun playing it. One of my favorite stories, but everything else just brings it so far down, and that's where I get sad. For number 6 is Resident Evil 1. Even the remaster, and I'm going with the remastered one on the GameCube, or remake on the GameCube. Again, the graphics are beautiful. I love the story. We get stars. We find out about Wesker later. We're playing Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine. We have everybody there ready to get you into the story. And Resident Evil is an amazing game, and I love it. But again, the remake on the GameCube, or remaster on the GameCube, the game mechanics are still really clunky. And that's, for me, a sad point, because again, we have it remastered. Why not update everything? And again, you can go, oh, well, Aaron, you could play on the PlayStation. It's the same way. And yes, it is. But again, there's so many better games by this point that I was just not happy with it. And if you go back and play it, it doesn't hold up well for the mechanics, and it's very, very, again, clunky. But again, love the story, great story, just not one of my favorites. At number 5, it would be Resident Evil 3. Now, I'm going to, again, talk about the remastered one that just came out. They remastered it, and they finally updated stuff. So now it's not as clunky. It's not just same Resident Evil 3 that we played back in the day. I believe this one, it felt new. It felt like a fresh take on Resident Evil. And again, we get the zombies, which I'm a huge zombie fan. I love zombies. I do love all this stuff with the lichens and everything else in Biohazard and Village. I meant to say Village, but yeah, I don't know. I love 3. It was good, but it's still not there. There's still better games out there, and that we're getting to the top 4 now. And on that note, I would say Resident Evil 7 falls at my rank number 4. Now, it's high up, yes, but it's still low for me, and it barely beat out Resident Evil 3 for me. And the only reason it really kind of did is because it directly ties into Resident Evil 8 Village. And Biohazard is a solid game. We get a new take, again, on the Biohazard weapons at this point, and how the world is dealing with that. Now, again, we've had 5 and 6 that was trying to take a fresh take, but they didn't do well. 7, though, it knocked it out of the park. It had a really good storyline, a little mystery behind it, trying to figure out what's going on with Ethan and everything else. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's good, but not the best. On that note, at my rank 3 is 8, which at this point, rank 3 and 4 have to be next to each other. Resident Evil 7 and 8 for me, because 7 is a direct tie-in to 8. I mean, you can play 8 and not know what's going on, and you'll be okay, I promise. But if you want that extra story, if you want that extra little bit of knowledge behind it, it's good to play 7 first and then go play 8, and that's kind of, I wish I would have played 7 right before playing 8, but I've played it a while when it first came out, so I was like, cool, I already know it. I know the storyline basically still, and it all tied together. So 7 and 8, 3 and 4. Now, for my second favorite Resident Evil, and my number 2 ranking is Resident Evil 2. We first get introduced to Raccoon City with Leon Kennedy riding in on a motorcycle. And then we get the remastered version that just recently came out. And oh my God, it's so much fun. You get there's so much replay value, I think, in Resident Evil 2 that you can have fun all day. Again, they update the graphics, they update the mechanics, and it felt like a new Resident Evil almost. So this game, it's up there, guys. I think it's, like I said, it's my second favorite. So I would rank it number 2. And I love Leon Kennedy. I think he's one of the better characters in the whole series. And on that note, number 1 is Resident Evil 4, which it also has Leon Kennedy in it. And again, the main protagonist protecting the president's daughter, he's moved out from Raccoon City, being just a officer, to now, being a bodyguard essentially to the daughter of the president. And now this is, again, away from the zombies. We're not into zombie territory anymore. We're into this new biohazard, they call it. And I don't know. I liked it because it was a fresh take. It was interesting and different enough to make me say, okay, well, there's no zombies, but I got these creatures and they're kind of cool. I'm really liking it and digging it. So I'm okay with that. So it was still a really fun game, guys, and I really hold that one at a high standard because I think I played that one 4 or 5 times just because it was so fun. I even watched a buddy play like another 1 or 2 times. And it was a good, solid story. And again, you have Leon Kennedy, who at this point is a badass without the need to make him look like he has superhuman strength. Chris Redfield punching boulders. We have a roundhouse kick though, so I guess he's Chuck Norris? I don't know. But that rounds it out, guys. So those are my top, those are my rankings for the main Resident Evil stories. Again, there's plenty of Resident Evil if you want to go check out other ones. A lot of side stories of what's happening around the world with plenty of other characters, not just Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, Leon Kennedy. You get everybody else. And I really like it, guys. I think it's something that you should go check out. The series, if you haven't, maybe just go watch gameplay. If anything, pick up 7 and you can go straight into 7 and 8 and you'll be fine. Don't worry about 5 or 6. But on that note, guys, we're going to call it here. And I hope you enjoy our podcast. We will be coming back full force this month, guys. And I hope everyone enjoys it. And again, remember, stay geeky, guys, and get your geek on. Like, comment, and subscribe.